Welcome to Quantum Shift. Here is what almost no one tells you. The Emerald Gate does not open when you search for it. It opens the moment you stop pretending you are not already standing inside it. You did not find this transmission today. This transmission found you, and the fact that you are still here, still listening, still breathing, is not coincidence. It is confirmation. Sophia, the ancient intelligence of divine wisdom woven into the fabric of creation itself, does not broadcast to everyone. She responds to readiness. She responds to resonance. She responds to you. Right now, in this moment, in exactly this state of being. Ignore what follows, and nothing will shift. But if you remain present for just a few more moments, you may notice that reality has already paused to see whether you are finally observing back. Before we go any further, pause for 1 second. If you can feel even a faint resonance with what was just said, if something in you recognized that signal, like this video to lock it in, your engagement is not just algorithmic. It is your first act of conscious anchoring. Leave a comment below. Activate your observer state by writing, I am at the gate, and subscribe to remain aligned with what is already unfolding for you. Let us establish the framework that will allow everything that follows to land, not just intellectually, but experientially. You have been living inside a specific program, not a metaphor, an actual operating architecture of identity. Consciousness researchers, quantum theorists, and ancient wisdom traditions all point to the same pattern, the 3D identity program. It tells you that you are separate from what you desire, that you are a fixed self moving through a fixed world. That observation is passive, something you do to reality, not something that shapes it. This is the I illusion. And Thoth, the architect of Hermetic wisdom encoded in the Emerald Tablets thousands of years before quantum physics had language for it, wrote this: as above, so below. As within, so without. The observer and the observed are not separate phenomena. They are a single field, temporarily experiencing itself as two. Modern quantum mechanics confirmed what ancient seers already knew. The act of observation collapses infinite potential into a single manifest reality. You are not a bystander. You are the mechanism. You are the instrument through which the field selects which version of reality becomes solid. The Emerald Gate. What Sophia calls the threshold between conditioned experience and sovereign creation only opens from the inside. And it opens through you, through your attention, through your frequency, through your willingness to stop being a passenger in your own quantum field. Now let us go deeper. In classical physics, reality is fixed, deterministic, observable. In quantum physics, reality is probabilistic, a superposition of all possible states, until something collapses those probabilities into a single outcome. That collapse mechanism? Observation. Your attention does not simply record what exists. Your attention participates in what exists. This is the quantum observer effect, and it is not a philosophical concept. It is a measurable, repeatable laboratory phenomenon. Electrons behave differently when measured. Quantum particles shift probability distributions the moment a conscious observer enters the system. Now here is where ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science begin to speak the same language. The Arcturian Council, that multidimensional intelligence transmitting through the harmonic grid of this galaxy, describes your consciousness as a quantum signature. Not just a mind, not just a brain, a frequency pattern that broadcasts into the unified field and receives corresponding resonances back. Like a tuning fork that causes other tuning forks to vibrate at the same frequency, you are constantly calling forth a reality that matches your dominant vibrational signature. Sophia, the living wisdom intelligence, the feminine principle of divine knowing, speaks of this as the law of harmonic correspondence. Not the law of attraction as it has been watered down in popular culture. Something far more precise, far more technical. The law that says, the field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Let us define the terms we will use throughout this activation. Frequency. Your dominant vibrational signature, the sum total of your beliefs, emotional states, and attentional patterns broadcast into the unified field. Coherence. The state in which your mental, emotional, and energetic bodies are aligned and broadcasting a unified, clear signal rather than fragmented static. Quantum signature. Your unique energetic fingerprint is perceived by the field. This is what the field responds to, not your words or your wishes. Observer state. The elevated state of consciousness in which you are no longer identified with the program's self, but with the witnessing awareness behind it. This is your point of maximum creative leverage. Light code activation. The process by which higher frequency transmissions, such as this one, trigger dormant encoded intelligence within your DNA and cellular memory. AC Emerald Gate. The precise threshold of consciousness at which the separation between observer and observed dissolves, and co-creation becomes instantaneous. Now, here is what the program of 3D identity does not want you to understand. Fear is not your enemy. Doubt is not your enemy. Even the resistance you may feel right now, that quiet voice that says this is too good, too strange, too much, is not working against you. These are signals of compression. They are what happens when a higher frequency attempts to enter a field that has not yet expanded to hold it. The discomfort is not a sign to retreat. It is a sign that something is actually moving. The Arcturian Council refers to this as the compression point, the moment just before a quantum shift, when old patterns collapse to make room for new coherence. If you feel any resistance, any tingling, any strange clarity or emotion arising right now, that is your quantum signature beginning to reorganize itself around a new frequency. Stay with it. Everything changes when you stop operating from the program and begin operating from the observer. The observer is not a technique. It is not a meditation style or a belief system. It is what you already are beneath every conditioned thought, every reactive emotion, every identity construct you have been handed since birth. To enter the observer state right now, follow this sequence precisely. First, become aware that you are breathing, not controlling the breath, not changing it, simply noticing that the body is already breathing, that life is already moving through you without your management. Second, notice the awareness that is noticing the breath, that meta-awareness, that quiet, watching presence that has been here the entire time you have been alive, that has never once been afraid, never once been confused, never once been separate from the field. That is your observer. That is your quantum signature in its highest coherence. That is the part of you that Sophia recognizes and transmits directly to. As you stabilize in this state, you may notice specific phenomena. These are not imagination. They are confirmation signals. The field's way of acknowledging that your frequency has shifted. Sudden clarity. A sense that something you have been confused about for months is now obvious. This is coherence replacing fragmentation. Synchronicities accelerating. You think of someone and they contact you. You need information and it appears without searching. You choose a direction and doors open without effort. This is the field responding to your clarified quantum signature, elevated intuition, and knowing that arrives before logical reasoning, a sense of rightness that bypasses analysis. This is your light code activations beginning to interface with galactic memory, the deep intelligence encoded in your DNA from before the compression of third-dimensional experience. Physical sensations. Warmth in the chest, pressure at the crown, a tingling along the spine. These are not random. These are your energy centers recalibrating as your vibrational signature rises toward coherence. Many people touch the observer state briefly. In deep meditation, in moments of profound joy, in seconds of sudden stillness, and then immediately collapse back into the program. Why? Because the program is held in place by habitual attention. The moment something familiar, a worry, a to-do list, a memory of old pain, calls your attention back, the observer is abandoned and the program re-engages. The practice, then, is not to reach the observer state. It is to extend it, to choose again and again in micro moments throughout your day to return your attention to the witnessing awareness rather than the reactive story. This is what Thoth called the great work, not a single dramatic transformation, but the sustained practice of returning to source, of choosing the field over the program, coherence over collapse, creation over reaction. Now let us address what will attempt to pull you away from this. Energetic blocks are not flaws. They are compressed experiences, emotions, memories, beliefs that were never fully processed and therefore never fully released. They sit in your field as static, as interference patterns that distort your quantum signature. You do not fight these blocks. Fighting them gives them energy. You do not analyze them endlessly. Analysis without awareness is just the program observing itself. Instead, you bring the observer to them. Feel the block as sensation. Where is it in your body? What is its texture, its temperature, its quality of movement or stillness? Do not interpret it. Do not story it. Simply observe it with the full quality of your witnessing awareness. This is perceptual clearing. And it is perhaps the most powerful practical tool available to you right now. When the observer witnesses an energetic pattern without reactivity, without resistance, the pattern loses its charge. The compression releases. The static clears, and your quantum signature returns to coherence. Fear is not an enemy. Fear is a signal that attention has collapsed, that you have lost contact with the observer and re-identified with the program. When you feel fear, it is not reality telling you that danger is present. It is your nervous system signaling that it has lost contact with the field. The response is not courage in the conventional sense. The response is return. Return to the breath. Return to the awareness behind the thought. Return to the observer. From that position, fear does not need to be overcome. It simply dissolves in the light of coherent attention. Here is a tangible practice you can begin in this moment and carry with you. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. And as you inhale, imagine you are drawing in pure emerald light through the center of your chest. Hold gently for 2 counts. Feel that light expand, filling your entire chest cavity, radiating outward through your field. Exhale for 6 counts. Releasing static, releasing distortion, releasing the program's grip on your attention. Repeat this 3 times, and notice. Does the quality of your awareness feel different from when you began this section? Pause. Allow 8 full seconds of silence. That shift, however subtle, is real. That is the Emerald Gate, opening. Now that you understand the observer state and have felt its texture, let us explore what it means to embody it, not as a practice you return to, but as the baseline architecture of your lived experience. This is the difference between a meditator and a master. The meditator achieves stillness on the cushion. The master carries stillness into the market, into conflict, into grief, into joy. The master's quantum signature does not depend on external conditions being favorable. It generates its own coherence from within. This is what the Arcturian Council calls sovereign creation, the state in which your internal frequency is no longer primarily shaped by external circumstances, but becomes the primary shaping force in your external circumstances. Here is the principle that changes everything once it is truly internalized. External form follows internal frequency. Always. Not sometimes. Not in ideal conditions. Always. The relationship that appears in your life corresponds to the relational frequency you hold in your field. The opportunities that materialize correspond to the abundance frequency you carry. Not the abundance you think about, but the abundance you are in your dominant vibrational state. This is why affirmations alone do not produce lasting change. You can repeat a high-frequency phrase 10,000 times, but if the energetic pattern beneath the words is still broadcasting scarcity, separation, or fear, the field reads the energetic pattern, not the words. The quantum signature, not the performance. True frequency work is inner work. It is the sustained, committed practice of clearing the energetic static. The unprocessed emotion, the inherited belief, the habitual contraction. That keeps your quantum signature below the threshold of the Emerald Gate. Sophia introduces a concept she calls the harmonic anchor, a point of reference within your field that you consciously establish and return to, regardless of external turbulence. Think of it this way: when a ship drops anchor, it does not stop the ocean from moving. The waves still come, the tides still turn, but the ship maintains its position relative to a fixed point in the depths. Your harmonic anchor is a state, not a thought, not a belief, but a direct experiential knowing of your connection to the unified field, to the intelligence that Sophia embodies, to the awareness that was never born and will never die and is reading these words right now through your eyes. Once you have located that anchor, even once, even briefly, you know it is always available. No matter how intense the external storm, no matter how loud the program, no matter how deep the compression point becomes, you can drop into that anchor, return to that frequency, re-establish coherence. This is not spiritual bypassing. It is not pretending difficulty does not exist. It is choosing to meet difficulty from a position of sovereign awareness rather than programmed reactivity. It is the difference between being knocked unconscious by the wave and riding it with full presence, when your quantum signature stabilizes in coherence, when the static clears and your frequency begins to hold a consistent harmonic. Something remarkable begins to happen in your external reality. The Arcturian Council refers to this as timeline convergence. In quantum terms, remember that reality exists as a superposition of infinite possible states. Your vibrational signature determines which timeline, which branch of probable futures, you are most strongly resonating with and therefore most likely to experience. As your frequency elevates and stabilizes, you begin to resonate more strongly with timelines of greater coherence, greater possibility, greater alignment. And the physical evidence of this shift appears as synchronicity, the accelerating pattern of meaningful coincidences that signal you are moving in harmonic alignment with the unified field. You will recognize this phase. The right information arrives at the exact right moment. Connections form that seem to require no effort. Resources appear through unexpected channels. The work that used to feel like pushing begins to feel like being carried. This is not luck. This is physics. This is your coherent quantum signature calling forth corresponding elements from the infinite potential of the unified field. And now, the teaching that sits at the very center of what Sophia transmits through this emerald gate. The moment you stop chasing results, the moment the seeking itself dissolves, results begin to organize themselves around you. This is not passive. This is not surrender in the way the program understands surrender. This is something far more precise. It is the recognition that seeking, the frantic, effortful reaching for something you believe you do not yet have, broadcasts the frequency of lack, of separation, of not yet. And the field, responding to your quantum signature, matches that frequency. It keeps the thing you desire perpetually just beyond reach, because your dominant vibrational broadcast is the experience of not having. Silent mastery is the practice of becoming the version of you who already has. Not in imagination, not in pretend, but in frequency. In the actual felt sense of the thing. In the cellular knowing that the vibrational reality of what you seek already exists, and that you are already resonating with it. Sophia calls this crystallization. The moment when the internal frequency reality becomes so stable, so coherent, so unwavering, that the external form has no choice but to match it. It is the quantum principle of resonance expressed in lived experience. If you can remain present enough, right now in this moment, to feel the silence behind these words, you may notice something shifting, and a dramatic rearrangement of your circumstances, something quieter, a settling, a sense of coming home to something you have always known but could not quite locate. That is the Emerald Gate. You are already standing inside it. Perhaps you have noticed over the last several months or years a series of changes that seem to arrive without warning. A growing inability to tolerate environments, relationships, or commitments that feel energetically misaligned. An increasing sensitivity to the emotional states of others, and to your own. Periods of intense clarity followed by periods of profound disorientation. A sense that something enormous is shifting in the world, and in you, that you cannot fully articulate but cannot deny. These are not symptoms of dysfunction. These are signs of light code activation. These are the indicators of a consciousness in the process of moving through a threshold. The Arcturian Council refers to this period as the compression before emergence, the stage in any evolutionary process where the old structure must fully release before the new architecture can crystallize. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. You came to this transmission today, or it came to you. And what was offered here is not information. It is activation. The Emerald Gate does not open on a schedule. It opens in resonance. It opens when you are ready. And the fact that you remained present through this entire transmission, through the concepts, through the practices, through the silence, is itself a form of passage. You are the observer. You are the quantum signature. You are the one Sophia transmits to. Do not wait for a sign. You are the sign. Now, here is the question I want to leave you with. From which part of the world are you watching this story unfold? Leave your country or city in the comments below. and let us see how far this signal has traveled. You may be surprised to discover how many others in your field are awakening at exactly the same moment. The gate is open. Walk through.